Okay, this is game 6 of a match between XieXieMaster and Hu. Ooh. Okay, so Hu is red, XieXieMaster is black. And again, we see that in Chinese chess the situations are kind of symmetrical and mirrors. Like I said in the previous game, once there is not a cannon in the center, it makes sense to push the central pawn to create a break. And then, of course, I have noticed that the engines, they like to occupy the open file. And again, while XieXieMaster, I think it was written based maybe on chess engine, maybe not, I don't know. For what I know, for Pikafish, yes, it's a fork of Stockfish or a fork of Fairy Stockfish, okay? So from the project of Fairy Stockfish that created an engine to play Chinese chess. Now, in chess, it's very important to occupy the files. And that's what the engines are doing. Occupy the file. Control the file. I don't know if in Chinese chess should have the same value. Because in reality, I think these two files, the H and B, are not really creating an immediate threat to the king. They are just creating threats to some pawns, or eventually to try to go on the river and try to control the river. As we can see, let's see 1 second. So red takes control of the file, and of course it's also protecting the cannon, but immediately black goes to attack one of the pawns. In reality, it's not even an attack to the pawn, because if now red played this move, but if red would have played a cannon e3, then black had to choose if to take in h1 or take in g4. So okay, let's see how it continues. Oh, this is also typical of this central breakthrough. But this is the difference, that once black took control over 4th rank, now it's taking control also with this cannon that was on e8, i8, sorry. Wow, very interesting move. Practically, black doesn't care about the horse on c8. And now he needs to defend that cannon. So, what does it mean? So it means that there was a wrong evaluation maybe from XieXieMaster, and this is what I think happens in many engine games. It's just a question of depth of evaluation. If one of the engine is set to say at a depth 15 and the other can only reach 10, the other that reached 15 has a more depth evaluation and so knows if he can keep some material or not. Wait a second, here there is something that is interesting. What happens if red takes on e7? Cannon takes on e7, check. If black takes on e7 with a horse, this is the problem. Yeah, because as we can see, here there is a discovery check and the rook on h9 is not protected. But unfortunately, red has the rook in the wrong place, the rook c8, so black would be able to get the rook back. Very interesting. And that's why this move was played. And now the discovery check is gone. I think already at this point red is doing better. Partly because the cannon on h7, yes, it's attacked, but has more space. And it cannot be attacked continuously, so what is black gonna do? Oh, here another thing. So red decided that the central attack, it's impossible to gain something out of it, and so it changes strategy and goes on the side to attack on this left side. And so black must stop it. And he returns back. Okay, this is a point in which maybe a Western chess player could be a little unsure of the rules. Can they continue to play this, or they have to change? And luckily now there is a manual that is online, so everybody can check and know the answer to this question. And that's also very interesting, the way that black changed strategy in a sense, and now is attacking in the center, so keeping everything pinned in the center thanks to the cannon e4, and probably doubling the rook on the f file. But he still has the problem of this cannon. That's kind of problematic, huh? Uh-oh. Very interesting. So black was able to block the access to the last rank to the rook h1. Oh. Very, very interesting move. This is a thing that we must take into consideration, because engines continue to do that. They often sacrifice a pawn to gain open space or line. Okay, let's continue. They just called me. Okay, so that was what I was saying, is that it's very interesting to see the engine that sacrifice a pawn, especially at this level of middle game, to gain an open line, for the cannon. And this is the reason why red sacrifice a pawn, which is really great in a sense. And now things are really going bad for black. But again, I think it's a problem of calculation. The depth of the calculation of Pikafish, the fork of Fairy Stockfish, is higher than XieXieMaster, strangely. Wow. Now we start to see also a common checkmate pattern on this side. Strangely, XieXieMaster evaluates an advantage for itself, but obviously there is no such a thing. And here we go. So let's see what happened. Boom. Let's notice this the uselessness of these checks that are probably again something that remains from chess. Because in chess you can give check, 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 but in Chinese chess it doesn't mean anything. And again, this is the problem. This XiangQi site, this XiangQi.com, they created this avatar of Hu ROng Hua. But Hu ROng Hua wouldn't play like this. That's a simple fact. I don't think any grandmaster level player would play this if there is not a particular reason, like, let's say this game is with increment and is short on time, and this check are giving him 30 seconds for each move, so it makes sense. But otherwise, why would you do that? Because it doesn't make any sense. The move that one wants to play is this one, to attack the soldier on e5. And again, this is the real attack that he wants to make. Now, again, if this was a game with increment, I understand, but this wasn't. Because XieXieMaster was set up at 10 seconds per move, and Pikafish practically answered nearly immediately, maybe take 1 second or something like that. Maybe because it's running on a very, very powerful hardware. And so they set up, but again, look all these checks. What is the meaning? What is the meaning? There is no meaning. The real move that Red wanted to play is c5, but it's only when the programmer of the engine has said to the engine, you cannot continue to give check, that he plays another move. Otherwise, he would continue to play that check, check, check. Also, if strangely, materially, has a big advantage. So that's why it doesn't make any sense. So, in a sense, I find interesting that they have created this avatar, but obviously it's not really like a human would play. And so this also can be a lesson for us, because for many times they, in chess, they have tried to create engines that play like humans. Honestly, at this moment, I don't really see it, because engines, they always make mistakes that are too big for a human, also when you play against a 1500. For example, a player that is 1500, when you play in Blitz, he makes a mistake by move 20 or maybe 15 or less, and that mistake you start to get an advantage out of it, or a big blunder. Instead, when you play against an engine that is trying to emulate a 1500 rated player, we see that it makes a mistake that for me it's too quite over the lines compared to what a 1500 would do. However, they are marketing now a AI called Maya that plays like a human. I don't know. Obviously, I should try to check it, but I'm preparing for a World Championship, so I don't have time for that. But I will try to do it one day, to check if it's really playing like a human.